Underdog is the leading place to make all your sports picks, and you can play now in your state. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog, and it's easy. All you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose strikeouts, total bases, or home runs, or go higher or lower on three-pointers or rebounds. You can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. This week, I'm looking at baseball, and as usual, Aaron Judge is my choice to go higher on the stats that involve his hitting. Download the Underdog app or go to UnderdogFantasy.com and sign up with promo code GARAGE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code GARAGE. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncp.gambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Hit it.
Josh Arnold, investment consultant, brings you Garage Logic episode number 1565, June 17th, 2025. Like yesterday, the record was established, the high temperature record was established in 1933, 97 degrees again, and in 1960, they woke up to 42 degrees. Call Josh at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Sometimes I see things and I wonder, how long have things been strange in the world?
Okay.
For example, John Jay was the first ever U.S. Chief Justice. John Jay.
Okay.
He was Chief Justice from 1789 to 1795.
I know nothing about him.
And he wrote, "No human society has ever been able to maintain both order and freedom, both cohesiveness and liberty, apart from the moral precepts of the Christian religion. Should our republic ever forget this fundamental precept of governance, this great experiment will then be surely doomed." So, 10 years after the country was formed, this guy already knew enough about the human condition and human history to suggest this experiment's bound to fail if we don't keep our act together here in terms of freedom and order.
235 years ago.
What went on prior to 1789? What countries was he looking at? What societies was he referencing when he came up with this astounding observation? Because I don't doubt it for 1 minute. Here's the problem today. The problem today is that what would be disputed is the precepts of the Christian religion. The people who might hold America in contempt, for example, they might say, well, why should it be the precepts of the Christian religion? And I have no answer for that.
Why?
Through the eyes of John Jay, no human society has ever been able to maintain both order and freedom, both cohesiveness and liberty, apart from the precepts, the moral precepts of the Christian religion. And should our republic, it's brand new at this point, the republic, the ink isn't dry on the documents. Should our republic ever forget this fundamental precept of governance, this great experiment will then be surely doomed. That's astounding that it was written so long ago.
I bet he'd be surprised at how long we actually lasted now that it's over.
Well, given that observation, I can't disagree with you. He'd be shocked that we're still here.
Yeah, it took quite a while for the country to recover from the Civil War, and some would say, I mean, that recovery lasted well into the 1970s.
Oh, God, yes.
100 years or more.
Because clearly...
Or even, have we recovered from the Civil War?
Well, the way I would answer it is clearly the country is troubled.
Very much so.
Clearly, cohesiveness is lacking. There is a clash between our order and our freedom. We have noted over the years the decline of our moral precepts, no matter who you want to attribute them to. Clearly, it's a troubled time, and yet I am not prepared to say. Well, we joke sometimes. We say we're doomed.
Well, we are, and never has that been more apparent than since Belter, and both sides both political sides blaming each other for the actions of a madman. So the entire Republican Party, or MAGA, or whatever the hell you want to call them, is now taking the blame for this guy. Meanwhile, the entire Republican Party, MAGNA, whatever you want to call them, is trying to tag this on Democrats. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is ridiculous.
I would say it this way. 10% of Republicans are trying to pin it on.
Well, you're not looking at social. And bless you for it, and don't start now. But 100% of social is arguing about this.
But how can...
You want to know something fun? I'll get right back to this.
I like fun on the show.
Do you want to know something fun?
Yeah.
We're going to have a guy on at 12:30 named Jeff Stumb, and he is part of the great race that will be departing for the Minnesota State Fairgrounds this weekend. We are podcasting live from the fairgrounds back to the 50s on Friday at noon. We'll be at O'Gara's, but this gentleman he is deeply involved in the race itself. It's a very famous race. I don't know if it's ever started before in Minnesota. Yes, sir.
May I ask, not that I would ever in a million years give you any type of broadcasting advice. Can you give it a slight pause between the first and last name? Because you just said Jeff Stumb.
No, his name is Jeff.
That's what it sounded like. I just didn't want that to come across in the interview.
Jeff Stumb.
Thank you.
Smart.
Thank you.
Here's an email that is germane to our topic. Joe, this won't be as eloquent as most of your emails, as I am struggling emotionally with what transpired over the weekend. Vance Bolter. Is it Bolter or Belter?
I thought we were going with Belter.
We're going Belter?
I think so.
Like a belt.
Vance Belter was a junior in high school in Sleepy Eye when I was a first-year teacher and head basketball coach. Great young man. His dad was the baseball coach. Vance worked his tail off and did whatever I asked as a teacher or a coach. As people make comments about him, I try to separate his actions from the young man I knew and cared for. Then I remember from being a kid growing up in New Ulm. Our state rep when I was a kid was a veterinarian in town. When my dad didn't think the highway project was proceeding quickly enough, we'd stop by the vet's office and they'd have a conversation. Dad didn't like his answer, but respected the person who gave the answer. What happened to that type of interaction with our political leaders? Hoping you can help make sense of the senselessness of it all. I wish I could. Your name is Dennis Petchel. I wish I could. But I think that's exactly what we've been talking about. What happened?
Yeah, without a doubt.
What happened? According to John Jay, what has happened is that we have been unable to maintain both our freedom and our order because of a variety of reasons. Many people will reject out of hand Jay's reasoning. John Jay's reasoning would be the abandonment of the Christian principles or precepts of morality. Many people will not accept that. But no matter what you would plug in the place of the Christian religion, the moral precepts of society have been abandoned. The normal civil contracts between humans have been abandoned. I will say this, even though I was urged before the show not to say it. I know John's going to have it in his news, but I think an example of abandoning just a normal condition of humanity would be, and Kenny came up with a good reason, and I'll tell you what that is. But Trump, when asked if he would call Walz, said, no, it'd be a waste of a time. That guy's a whack job. Meaning, will you call him in condolences for the loss of the Speaker of the House? And Trump would not. And I submit to you that that's what a leader does, regardless of how he feels about things.
Yes.
You call a governor of a state that just had their Speaker of the House violently murdered, and you say, hey, man, I'm sorry. What do you got?
On Minnesota, there were a lot of horrific details that came out today about the suspect who's been charged there. Have you called the governor yet or been able to speak to any of them?
I don't really call him. He appointed this guy to a position. I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out. I'm not calling him. Why would I call him? I could call him and say, hi, how you doing? The guy doesn't have a clue. He's a mess. So, I could be nice and call him, but why waste time?
All right.
I would consider that not a waste of time.
Well, it's just a small example of what we're talking about.
Did the VP call him? I thought I heard over the weekend he
on
did.
Saturday. He called him.
I thought so. Offered him anything he needed. Or something, paraphrasing there, obviously.
Jeff Stumb. I'm really going to work on that.
Stumb. ST.
Stumb, I'm sorry.
Yep,
Stumb.
okay. Dang it.
Well,
I
you
gave him
didn't
a
finish your
compliment.
thoughts, Joe. We interrupted you. Where were you going?
Well, you said that you find that perfectly understandable because the two guys have been nipping at each other for a year anyway.
They hate each other.
Hate each other, and so.
But that's where you, as leaders, both of them, need to be above the fray and show people we're not going to go out to breakfast with each other, but you know what? I'm going to be cordial. I'm sorry for your Minnesota loss, and if I can do anything, great. Then
that wouldn't have been incumbent on Walz. That was not a Walz phone call that needed to be made. That was a Trump phone call.
I agree fully. But that's what I'm saying. That's what President Trump would. That's part of the job.
You would think so. You would think so. But
I mean, as president, why isn't he smart enough not to realize he's creating more division by doing that?
Well,
he's not bringing people together.
There's a deeper problem. Many of Trump's supporters won't think twice about his refusal to call Walz. So it's the country that's in trouble. We know what we're dealing with Trump. We know what we're dealing with Walz. It's the country is presented with figures who are very polarizing. And it's the country that has withdrawn its moral authority. It's the country that said, I think Trump's the right not to call him, that type of thing. And maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe it isn't that big of a deal. And I do think reporters know how to bait Trump. That, to me, sounded like that Caitlin person who's a...
I don't know who it was, but I know what you're saying.
Joan? Is it Joan?
No, she's a CNN. No.
Caitlin Collins.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Caitlin.
Sorry, Caitlin
Sounded
Collins.
like her. I don't know if it was her, but...
But I would have more faith in
She's intending to make her $7 million a year by really being as vicious as possible against Trump.
I don't think she's out on the campaign trail or whatever.
Probably
it's
not.
not campaign. She's actually an evening host.
Yeah, she's been promoted. Yeah.
But Joe,
So maybe that wasn't her. Yes, sir.
I even think that you said GL. I even think that the GLers that give you a hard time about President Trump would have enough common sense to just kind of nod and go, "You should have called him."
I'm sure many do.
That's my hope, and every listener.
Hold on.
What do you got?
Hold on.
There we go.
Isn't it kind of akin to the phone call after winning or losing a race?
The concession call?
But I think
Or
it's
not.
bigger than that, Ken. Don't you? Because this is on a human level.
Yeah.
I do have some
Because that's the equivalent of the handshake line in hockey, the call after you lose, right?
You know who wouldn't be surprised by that? John Jay.
exactly.
You've got me studying now.
Who shares my birthday. I did some research.
Attaboy.
I did some research. December 23rd.
And
Wealthy
Joe,
New York merchant family.
if Mysterians start researching John Jay, they are going to find some delicious things.
Mm-hmm.
A merchant, was he in the garment district?
No, slavery.
Yeah,
I'm
he did some slaves.
I'm sure we're not supposed to take John Jay observations legitimately because I'm sure he
Cancel everything.
owned slaves.
So, do you know a lot about him?
I don't.
Because I'm wondering the religion mention in that quote. Did he just generally, was he speaking about the Ten Commandments?
Well, he said Christian religion. I don't know what to say about that. He wasn't talking about Islam.
No.
Well, why didn't he
You're right.
include
I think
our
he's a
non-Christian friends and Muslims?
Well, Matt, it was a long time ago. I don't know why Jay wrote what he wrote. What I'm more interested in is the idea that he pointed out the two things we're struggling with, order and liberty. That's where we're struggling. Order, because of Belter, for example, and his obscene taking off after Minnesota politicians. Watch what changes occur in order. Watch order increase. Watch security change. Watch order change. With each passing episode, there are unintended consequences that further draw a divide between liberty and order. You know, it's unlikely now a lot of representatives will feel like they want to walk down Main Street in their small town 4th of July parade or what have you. I'm just winging it here. But order and cohesiveness, order and liberty are at loggerheads right now. And they have, obviously, Jay knew that could happen. He must have had, he was either clairvoyant or as long ago as 1789, he saw examples of this in societies around the world, which is amazing because news didn't travel that fast in 1789. May I have a word about...
He was a member of the Protestant Episcopal Church, a warden of the famous Trinity Church in New York, and you're going to love this, fellas, the four of you, suggested erecting a wall of brass around the country for the exclusion of Catholics.
Not a big fan of communion, huh?
You know, everybody has flaws. Everybody.
You're right.
He, without, what is the cast the first stone? You know, that verse.
He said, real Christians will abstain from violating the rights of others and therefore will not provoke war. Almost all nations have peace or war at the will and pleasure of rulers whom they do not elect and who are not always wise or virtuous.
Interesting guy, no doubt. And the quote you laid out, Such, is amazing. Really good.
Well, his Episcopalianism, if that's a word, that falls under the rubric of Christianity.
Yeah.
You know.
He also, and to defend a little bit on the
I got you all
issue,
looking up John Jay, don't I?
He's a favorite of mine now. Except for that slavery stuff.
I wasn't.
On the slavery issue, he actually became quite an abolitionist and was for the freedom for slaves before 1800. So he did turn.
He woke up.
So he was a guy.
Well, look how freedom and order were at odds with slavery.
Yeah.
Good point.
There could be no better example of freedom clashing with order with slavery. It's amazing.
He provided legal counsel to free black slaves.
Probably a big hot button topic.
Where did he go to college?
He went down there at Dunwoody.
Down there.
William and Mary?
King's
Body
College.
King's College.
Yes. Columbia University in the city of New York, commonly referred to as Columbia, is a private Ivy League established in 1754 as King's College. So Columbia.
I'll be damned.
Boy, I've learned more about John Jay in the last 10 minutes than I knew my
So have
entire
I.
life.
Carl Schwanbeck sent me that quote. I appreciate
I've never
it.
heard of him. It's fascinating.
1 wife, 6 kids.
I wonder if, like Tyler, if there's any surviving great grandchildren.
Marriage and family. Oh, look.
Palsy took him down.
What would we call palsy today?
Don't we call it Bell's palsy? Is that what it is?
I think it is. Yeah.
I'll look it up.
See, if you need a new garage door, Precision Door MN has models of doors for every budget. This is in addition to Precision Doors, daily service, taking care of the problems you might have with your existing garage door. We've been calling them your garage door guy. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro area. They don't charge more for emergency weekend visits, which might come in really handy. This number should be at your ready for Precision Door, 612-263-6985. If you want a door, they send a designer out. As I say, models for every budget. That consultation, of course, is free. And if you get a new door now from Precision Door, they're throwing in the motor. That's a value of more than $760. Imagine how quiet that baby would be. Find Precision Door online at Precision Door MN, one word, precisiondoormn.com, or call 612-263-6985.
Reavers here once again for my guy, Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Well, sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? Well, Mr. Money Talk is going to be able to sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute, no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608 and set up your free 48-minute, no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Tucked away just over the border in Wisconsin, hiding among the farms and the Apple River, one of the premier dirt track stock car facilities in the country, and Garage Logic GL. We're inviting all of you to a huge celebration of cylinders. We're doing it on July 12th. At Cedar Lake Speedway. Some of you now, you might be familiar with asphalt short track racing or even NASCAR. Dirt track racing, way more exciting, and this is all my opinion, requires skills that asphalt-only racers do not possess. Dirt track racing, the fans, we hate crashing. We have very low opinions of drivers that run into other drivers. We get into it. And witnessing this, where a field of late models are sprints, flat-footing it, wide open, redlining down the back stretch, not lifting, throwing it, backing into a corner, then sliding all the way through without getting off the gas, absolutely exhilarating. It'll take your breath away. The typical Saturday night show over at Cedar Lake Speedway. Some of the best dirt track drivers in the country. Many famous NASCAR drivers have turned laps in anger there. Speaking of that, Ryan Newman's going to be there this weekend, Saturday night. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a party on the 12th. It starts with a very British car show all afternoon. The mayor's promised to show up with one of his finely crafted British chariots. The whole gang, all of us will be there. And if you want to stick around into the evening and hang out and watch the races, please do. It's free. That's a savings of $25 per person. Town council members, you're going to have your own VIP area in the tailgate area. The entire program going to run till about 10 p.m. And here's something to consider. You know, maybe you have kids or somebody with a birthday. Cedar Lake Speedway has a late model 2-seater, and for a price, you can be a passenger while a pro turns laps on one of the breaks. You're going to love it. It's crazy. Please join us, Cedar Lake Speedway, July 12th. Meanwhile, check out their website, cedarlakespeedway.com. We'll see you there.
I was at a function at a home that was near Cedar Lake Speedway.
Oh, you got to hear the roar
and
the thunder.
You couldn't even have a conversation.
Oh, I bet that was cool.
It's so cool, Joe.
I got a note from Mike in Ridgemont. I imagine that's Ridgemont, Minnesota. And it's funny that he wrote this because I was thinking the same thing. Joe, I was wondering if you ever keep track of how long your lilacs last. This is weird. I was doing that over the weekend.
Really?
Party.
A little extra time on your hands during your Father's Day?
They're still budding?
No. I determined the end of my lilac season to be the last day where I would pick a panicle of lilacs. Isn't that a lovely word, panicle?
Is that what
I had to look it up.
Panicle,
It's a loose branching or cluster of flowers. I thank you for that new word, sir. A panicle of lilacs. Put them in a glass of water and present them on a kitchen counter. I was able to find one panicle yesterday, June 16th. The rest had droopy or brown florets. Another word I didn't look up, florets. Mike, I noticed the same thing. It's a short lilac season. They're good for about a month. And then mine are gone completely. But for a month, not any longer than a month, that's a powerful odor.
But you can't.
Wonderful perfume.
You can't really care for them. They are what
I
they are.
I don't do a thing.
You don't give them any Miracle Grow or
no, they're just there. They are, and then they go away, and then every year they come back. Despite the fact that humans are wrecking the planet, they just keep coming back at the same time every year.
What is the record keeping process for you?
A picture.
Okay.
Oh, I saw a Post-it.
No,
I just saw a
That's
Post-it
what
note.
I was thinking.
Yeah,
It's got to be Post-it notes with the dates, almost like how we keep records of the opener.
Exactly.
That's what I was picturing.
Here,
that we lose
I'm
every
going to
spring.
it right now. And here's the picture. And I took that picture on May 18th.
Let me
Show
see.
the camera.
So they
Show the
came in
camera.
about May 18th. May 18th.
Yeah, we can see that clearly. Thank you.
Looks good.
It's
You
almost
can
like
almost
Ricey.
smell the lilacs.
It's like Ricey talking to the background.
So May 18th to not even June 18th.
Not even a month.
Not even a month.
Huh.
I have to excuse myself. I got to run to the
I'll
airport.
excuse you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Mike. I got a word out of that, panicle. And floret. I didn't look up floret yet. We are anticipating the arrival here.
They're going to be just a couple of minutes behind schedule.
I thought they drove
No,
fast.
I'm going to explain why.
they drove fast.
I'm giving them absolutely every out. You guys, I know John and Kenny, you guys are working remotely. You cannot get to this building currently.
Yeah, you can.
Well, you can by where you park, but the rest of us heathens.
No,
Chris.
you're wrong. You can
Chris.
get in the parking lot right here.
Okay.
You know what's taking place here that's causing a very big traffic problem? The erection of a bathroom for bus drivers.
Yep.
We're putting up a new bathroom.
A restroom.
Well, we got sick of them walking behind the bushes and peeing on the Hubbard building.
Well, is this a big layover spot out here?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
took
so
over
sometimes you have to go.
And it's because we're on the dividing line of Minneapolis
It's not a
and St.
Hubbard.
Paul.
Hubbard's not building a restroom.
No, but your
the taxpayers
city,
are.
the city of St. Paul.
Now, is that St. Paul or Minneapolis?
I have seen a couple of those bus drivers really hustling it over to Speedway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that in St. Paul?
Yeah, because it's on that side.
It's on the east side of Berry
Berry
Street.
Street, yeah.
Oh, great. I'm paying for that. It's probably going to be a $750,000 bathroom.
It's going to be
You're
real nice.
in St. Paul where you're sitting right now.
That's true. Kenny's correct.
Don't question me.
What's the dividing line? The front door?
The hallway behind the front desk is the dividing line.
In fact, isn't, Kenny, correct me if I'm wrong, the main entrance isn't the left door as you're looking at it.
Correct.
The left door is Minneapolis and the right door is St. Paul.
Did Mr. Hubbard do that on purpose back in the day?
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. So the TV studio is in Minneapolis. The TV newsroom is in St. Paul.
Yep.
Well, I'll be darned.
It's pretty cool.
Where's Twin Cities Live?
Minneapolis.
Downstairs.
Archaeologists have just translated a mysterious Nordic runestone carving in Canada. You heard about this?
Yeah, this is a good one. Fun.
Centuries-old archaeological finds pertaining to the Bible are often fascinating, but how many of them are found in North America? That's what's happening now in a Canadian forest north of the Michigan border. It's a relic that has an inscription of 255 symbols carved into a rock over 200 years ago. The writing was discovered in 2018 after a fallen tree revealed a square-shaped inscription near the town of Wawa. I am the only one on this staff who's probably been in Wawa.
Or heard of it, even.
Wawa's on the north side, right in the middle of Lake Superior in Canada.
John has one of their pedals.
Yes, he does. Wawa's about 155 miles from the nearest U.S. border crossing in Michigan. Ryan Primrose, an archaeologist from the Ontario Centre for Archaeological Education, has now revealed that the symbols form the Lord's Prayer, written in Swedish. I'll be darned. The symbols were identified as Nordic runes, which makes them sound even cooler. Discovered that Swedish workers were hired by the Hudson's Bay Company in the 1800s to work on remote trading posts, suggesting one of them may have made the carving. No other objects were found at the site. Primrose believes it may have been a simple outdoor place of worship. Well, there you have it. Because I maintain the so-called runestone of Minnesota is real. A lot of people dispute it. I say it's real because the Scandinavians were incapable of a practical joke. They weren't funny people. There was not a lot of humor. So Olaf didn't sit at the kitchen table and say, hey, kids, look what I did there. I pulled this off. Wait till they find this 100 years from now. They'll think it was...
Greta Thunberg being proof of your theory, that your theory is correct. There's just no humor there at all.
So there's not a doubt in my mind that this one in Canada in Wawa is real.
Right.
I think that the Scandinavians, they came over and they like to chip away at the rocks. And
Kenny mentioned Greta. Did you see the photo that surfaced of her over the weekend?
If I did, I don't recall it because I try to shut out everything in my mind about her.
You got me. So there's a street dance down the hall or down the road in town, and everybody's going, and we're lifting pints and having a good time and backslapping each other, except the Swedes.
No.
They're back at home carving in a bleeding rock, praying for the lot of us.
What about Greta over the weekend?
Well, she had claimed to have been kidnapped.
Yeah.
And they basically said...
By the Israelis?
Well, she's the only person to be kidnapped, then sent immediately back to where she came from.
Yeah. Ransom of Red Chief.
I think you made the right choice in not discussing that whole fiasco. What a waste of time.
Oh, that's just silly.
I want all the time back that I spent reading about that last week.
I didn't read any of it because it was her. There was nothing to be gained there. She's just a complete... Well, in fact, she might be...
Yeah.
Somewhat troubled in some way?
Yeah.
If she isn't, she should be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I do.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Wait, why don't we...
You just ended the sentence.
I know,
I
did it on purpose. Do you want to take a break and do some John Heidt?
Well, we can start with Johnny Heidt if you'd like to.
This guy, we got a green room.
That's true.
Yeah.
We also have a street that's... No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to go back there again. Would you like to pause, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
All right, then let's talk about our friends at Hofferman Water and Connecticut.
If you do it slowly.
I'm going to do it so slow because I'm going to make time for our guests to get here on time. Here's the deal with Hofferman Water and Connecticut. It's going to make an amazing difference in the quality of your water, as it has done for me. I've had Hofferman Water and Connecticut in both my current home and in my previous home. And that was one of the first things we did. So what you have to do, because right now the calendar does start to fill up in the spring and the summer months. So you got to get on that schedule and have them come out for that free water analysis. And you do that one of two ways. You can call them directly at 612-895-2440, or you can just visit their website, which is hoffermanwater.com. Either way, you can book that appointment. And if you go to the website, which is, of course, hoffermanwater.com, you can see every single water treatment system that they have to offer. And it doesn't matter. Maybe you're in the mood for a brand new water softener, maybe an iron, rust, and odor filtration system, or a brand new drinking water system. A new system from Connecticut can do so many things that other water softeners just simply cannot do. So they're going to come out, they're going to give you this thing that's called a water score. And based upon that water score, they're going to give you recommendations on how they're going to make an amazing difference in the quality of your water. So once again, visit hoffermanwater.com and book your appointment today. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Please do me a favor and mention that you heard about them right here on the Garage Logic Podcast.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Power tools, electronics, cameras, sporting goods, NFL, memorabilia, art, lawn equipment, marine gear, boat seats, home decor, a 1960s Schwinn, license plate, furniture, camping gear, toys, games, golf clubs, sprinkler systems, all on one auction that was going on yesterday at K-Bid. I think it ended last night. You're hip to K-Bid, right? Oh, it's so much fun. When you go on the website, you're immediately presented with auctions that are going to end today. I love that. That's where I got that list. Here's the deal. kbid.com. It's an online auction venue where you find and bid and buy on just about anything. A wide variety of auctions going on right now, from business liquidations to estate sales, machinery, real estate. Oh, by the way, I need to say this. The letter K, bid.com. Us hipsters, our insiders, we just call it K-Bid. Be a hipster. Join up. They've sold it all, basically, and there's new items added every day. It's free. It's really easy to register. Just head to letter K-bid.com, create that account, then start bidding, buying, and winning. It's simple. I've been checking out K-Bid for years. I absolutely love it. K-bid.com. K-Bid, where your next great deal, it's just a bid away.
Here's John Heidt in his newsroom.
Thank you, Joe. This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. A line of severe thunderstorms Monday night brought several reports of tornadoes in Crow Wing and surrounding counties in north-central Minnesota. Severe weather in south-central Minnesota included reports of at least one small tornado and several funnel clouds. No major damage reported. In northern Minnesota, initial information during and after the storm indicated damage appeared to be confined to trees, with no major property damage or injuries reported. As you talked about earlier, Joe, President Trump yesterday ruling out calling Minnesota Governor Tim Walz after the targeted shootings of two state lawmakers, saying that to do so would be, in his words, a waste of time. The president spoke to reporters early this morning aboard Air Force One as he flew back to Washington after abruptly leaving that international summit in Canada because of rising tensions in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. Asked if he had called the governor yet, Trump said the Democratic governor is slick and whacked out and, quote, "I'm not calling him." He said, "I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out. Why would I call him? I could call him and say, hi, how you doing? So, I could be nice and call him, but why waste time?" In an interview Monday with Minnesota Public Radio, Walz said he wasn't surprised by the lack of outreach from the president, saying, "I think I understand where that's at." Walz said he has spoken with Vice President J.D. Vance and was grateful for that call. He had talked with former President Joe Biden, Harris, and Ford also. Ford being the Canadian Prime Minister, not Prime Minister. Ford is the head of one of the provinces in Canada. I'll get it right yet. Vance Belter has been charged in the shooting deaths of Democratic House Leader Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. He also has been charged with shooting and wounding State Representative John Hofferman and his wife, Yvette. Meanwhile, Belter pretended to be a police officer during the shootings, and that crime will likely create a debate at the Minnesota State Capitol on laws for impersonating a police officer. Right now, it's a misdemeanor to impersonate a police officer in Minnesota. After this weekend's violence, Jeff Potts, the executive director at the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Association, says that could change. Potts says it violates the public trust that we don't see often. What we've seen in other states is that if you impersonate a police officer while committing another felony, that impersonating a police officer is also a felony. I think there should be some conversation about that type of statute here in Minnesota, and we'll be looking at that in the upcoming legislative session. In court documents, we also learned Belter stopped at a Fleet farm on June 9th and bought a flashlight, ammo, and materials to create a fake police license plate. Federal jury in Colorado yesterday found MyPillow founder and former Minnesotan Mike Lindell defamed a former employee for a leading voting equipment company after the 2020 presidential election. The employee, Eric Coomer, sued after Lindell called him a traitor, and accusations about him stealing the election were streamed on Lindell's online media platform. Coomer was the security and product strategy director at Denver-based Dominion Voting Systems, whose voting machines became the target of elaborate conspiracy theories among allies of President Trump, who continue to falsely claim that his loss to Joe Biden in 2020 was due to widespread fraud. Dominion won a $787 million suit in a defamation lawsuit it filed against Fox News over those claims. Newsmax, meanwhile, apologized to Coomer in 2021 for airing false allegations against him.
Does the Pillow Man have any money left? He's never won a suit, has he?
Yeah, I don't see how.
Yeah.
And he couldn't pay his bills for a while.
Right.
So, Young Joni, one of the Twin Cities' most prominent restaurants, is set to close this fall. The last day for the Pizza Focus spot in northeast Minneapolis will be September 14th. The closure comes after a lease renewal dispute with the building's landlord that culminated in a lawsuit filed against the restaurant this month over about $150,000 in allegedly unpaid rent. All of that according to the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journals. Owner Ann Kim opened Young Joni in 2016 and subsequently won a James Beard Award for Best Chef in the Midwest in 2019. She was also featured on an episode of the Netflix series Chef's Table, Pizza. Kim had previously opened Pizzeria Lola and Hello Pizza, both of which remain open. Why don't we take a quick break here and hear from Mr. Reavers.
Thank you very much, Johnny. I always appreciate you throwing it to me when I'm not prepared for my news, but that's my fault, John. That's not your fault. How about We Are Nuts? You guys like nuts, don't you? Well, We Are Nuts is the proud supporter of us being at the Back to the 50s this coming Friday when we are going to broadcast the show from O'Gara's at the Great Minnesota Get-Together at the State Fairgrounds. And We Are Nuts is spectacular. And I got to tell you right now, if you go to Lunds and Byerly's right now to get your We Are Nuts supply, right now you're going to get $2 off at all Lunds and Byerly's locations through Wednesday, June 25th. If you also go to wearenutsmn.com, you can see all of their delicious snacks that are available. It doesn't matter if you're maybe in the mood for the original toffee peanuts. Those have become my favorites. But you can also get the ultimate sampler. My God, We Are Nuts has been such a spectacular discovery here in Garage Logic, and I got the chance to tour the facility just about a week ago, and they're going to be a great partner here with the Garage Logic crew and also on the Weekly Scramble podcast. But once again, visit their website, wearenutsmn.com, and you can place your order right now. It doesn't matter where you're listening to the Garage Logic podcast from. We Are Nuts MN is going to satisfy every snack that you and your family are going to enjoy. wearenutsmn.com.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
We're going to abbreviate John's newscast and welcome Jeff Stumb to the studio. Jeff, are you a director of the Great Race?
I am, Joe, or do I call you Mayor?
No, you can call me Joe.
All right, Joe.
Joe's fine.
Yeah, I'm the director of the Great Race.
And have you been for many years?
15 years.
Oh,
I've been
15
a
years.
director of this event. I used to be a competitor, started back in 1994. So I've been associated with it as either a participant or a director for 31 years.
Where are you from?
Tennessee.
Is that where you live now?
Yes.
Now, this is called the Hemmings Great Race.
It is. The Hemmings Great Race presented by Coker Tire.
And I, as a side note, I'm damn near a charter subscriber to Hemmings Motor News. I back in the day when it was about the size of a paperback book.
Yes.
So I'm way past 50 years.
Way back.
Yeah.
Do you have a closet full of them, Joe?
No,
like
I don't. I realized if I saved them, I would be a hoarder.
I inherited all my dad's, and I love them.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
Jeff, what is the Great Race?
Well, it's an old car race across the country each year, and it started in 1983. And it was the brainchild of a man named Tom McRae, who wanted to get the cars out of museums and garages and get them back on the road. And he had this harebrained idea that he would have this event go cross country. And we've done it every year since for 40 some odd years. And it's cars as old as 1913, all the way through 1974. So it's not a speed race in the sense of an Indianapolis 500 or Daytona 500, but it is a race. It's a race of endurance and accuracy. The team that does it the most accurate, that drives the speed we tell them to do, to stop at the stop sign for the exact amount of time that we tell them to, be able to handle the school bus or the combine that's blocking the road and know how to get their time made back up. They're the winners, and the team that wins will win $50,000 out of a total $162,000 purse.
Well, the entry fee is pretty handsome, isn't it?
It is. It is. You have to have the wherewithal to do this. The entry fee starts at $7,000, plus hotels, plus fuel, plus everything that goes with traveling and shipping cars.
So they could run you up to $25,000, maybe.
Yeah, there's teams I think on do it on a budget maybe at 15.
Yeah.
But if you have a support crew, you're talking, even more.
And you are allowed to have a support crew.
About half the teams have a support crew, but they're not allowed to help them during the day. They go to the finished city each day and wait. So this is a 9-day, 2,300-mile event.
It starts at the Minnesota Fairgrounds Saturday morning.
Saturday morning at noon.
At noon. And what is night one? Rochester, Minnesota.
It is. The cars will line up starting about 10 and be on display right there at the entrance to the Minnesota State Fairgrounds where that nice arch is. And, of course, we'll put our arch up for the Great Race. And the first overnight, it may not sound like very far, is Rochester.
I was going to ask you about why that is such a short distance.
Well, it's because it's not a full day of competition.
All right.
We use 300 hotel rooms a night, so we have to have places we can go. And if we go a little further, we're in Iowa and towns that don't even have 300 people, much less 300 hotel rooms. So that drives it a little bit. But on a normal day, when we'll go all day long, 8 to 5, we'll travel in that amount of time, what you could do in your car in 3.5 hours.
Okay.
Because we're out on back roads, zigging and zagging, doing 35 miles an hour or 20 or 50. We never ask them to go more than 50.
During the whole 9 days?
Yes.
So this is not a speed race. This is endurance and timing.
Yes, a time, speed, distance rally, and it is all about being the most accurate. There's secret checkpoints all day long.
What do you mean by secret?
Well, we know where every car does the same route, but 1 minute apart. So first car does the route 2 hours ahead of the last car.
Okay.
And we place checkpoints that they don't know where they're going to be.
Are they handed them at the start of the day?
They're given their instructions at the start of the day, and they don't know where the checkpoints are. So the incentive is you want to stay on time all the time, on course and on time.
So does the checkpoint make itself obvious to you when you're arriving?
When they approach, they'll see it coming from maybe an eighth of a mile away. But by then, it's too late to if you're 20 or 30 seconds off of what you think you're supposed to be. It's too late to really do much about it. And what it is when they cross the checkpoint, you're scored. And for every second, either early or late, you get a score. So if you're 5 seconds early, it's just as bad as being 5 seconds late. So you get a 5 second a score. And at the end of the day, if there's 7 checkpoints, we total them all up. lowest score wins.
The cutoff for a car is 1974. It must be pre-74.
Yes.
No limit as to how early the car can be manufactured.
No, the oldest one this year is a 1913 Chevrolet.
And the 1913 has as much a chance to win as a 1974 Corvette.
The winner last year was a 1916 Hudson.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Okay, I have to step in here. I've been around racing, Jeff, all my life, and racers, they will help each other. They, a guy will give another guy an engine, but then that racer will bitch about that guy and then turn him in for inspection at the end of the race. Now, my question being, if a 1969 Mustang Fastback wins, isn't the guy in a Model A going to be extra angry about that?
No,
how do these guys take
not
it?
the way I'm understanding it, no.
Not in this event, because you're really pitting yourself against the clock.
Yeah.
What is a predetermined time? We know what time they should cross each checkpoint. They don't know.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what the checkpoint is. So they're striving to keep that vehicle on time, and it's much harder in a 1916 Hudson than it would be a 69 Ford. But it's all about you versus the clock. And at the end of the day, everybody's comparing scores, and there's really nothing, if another guy beats you, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
You're happy about him.
So I was telling Such a few weeks ago or whenever that I used to race motorcycle endurance races out in the woods. And these guys would hide the checkpoints. And my very first race I was in, I go around a corner and there's 5 riders just sitting there on the edge of the trail. And I went by them like a dum-dum, went around another corner, boom, there was the checkpoint. Yep. So do the racers ever see you pull over, sit there, look at their watch, and wait for their minute, and then go through the checkpoint?
No, because there's just really on the back roads, there's just not enough time to see it. And if we see them stop, that's a penalty.
Okay,
so,
all right. I really love this.
Does someone pre-drive this 9 days to get a handle on the timing?
Because of the competition aspect of the $160,000 in prize money, we measure the course 3 times in advance.
Oh.
And this is a 2-week job.
What is the size of your staff?
There's me, and I have a event coordinator who handles a lot of the meals from the cities, and
but you've got to have people manning the checkpoints.
And I've got a guy that has been our director of competition since 1990, and then we have about 40 volunteers that take their 2-week vacation to come work for us each year, and most of them have been doing it 20 plus years.
Is there the same number of checkpoints on each leg?
No, it could be anywhere from 5 to 9. We've had days where it's been 12. And what that is they'll loop back around a checkpoint. So you may cross a checkpoint, drive a mile down the road, turn right, drive 4 miles down the road, turn right, drive 10 miles down the road, turn right, drive that 4 miles back, turn right, and now you're back on that same road again, and you'll cross that checkpoint again.
Describe for the listener.
Fantastic.
Describe for the listener where you're going when they leave the fairgrounds on Saturday noon, and 9 days later they end up where?
In Irmo, South Carolina, which is a suburb of Columbia, the state capital.
So you can
South
find
Carolina.
some hotel rooms.
Oh yeah, there's beautiful DoubleTree in West Columbia. South Carolina.
Is it pretty festive each night at a stop?
Oh my gosh, yeah! It's now obviously here we have the built-in back to the 50s,
right,
which is just phenomenal. What a just phenomenal event! I've been friends with Wally Burchell for many, I guess 15 years. That is one of the directors there, and it's just such a great event. But when we go to cities like on Sunday night, we'll be in Moline, Illinois.
Okay, so it's Rochester to Moline.
Yes, with a
lunch stop.
Lunch stop in Waterloo, Iowa.
All right, because every day there's a lunch stop.
Every day is a lunch stop, except for on the first day because we start so late.
Right.
So we'll have lunch in Waterloo, Iowa, right there on the river at the amphitheater.
Are the lunch stops predetermined?
Yes.
And so the food's waiting.
Absolutely.
And,
yes. And there'll be a big crowd.
Yeah.
Do you like
like how he's working in where he's going to try to find you guys. I love that part.
And then we'll hit Moline, and we've been to Moline before. We had a finish there in 2016, and it's a great car town too. And there'll be thousands and thousands of people in the streets. You know, we go into a town, we'll close off 4 or 5 blocks. And it's an instant festival. They got the kids milling the streets. It's free to the public. I mean, this is one of the coolest events you could ever see. It's the most unique event in all of motorsports, and it's free.
How many cars in this race?
We limit it to 120.
Has it always been do you have any trouble filling that out?
No. There's a 2-year waiting list.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh. So if you were to...
I want in, but I got to sign up now, and it'll be 2 years.
We just accepted the deposits for the 2026 Great Race.
Yeah.
For people who had been on the list for a year, and the race is still another year away.
Is it the largest race of its kind in the country?
Yes, it's the #1 vintage car rally. There's just nothing else like it.
Is this your full-time employment?
Yes.
This is what you do?
Yes.
It takes you all year to do this.
It does. Coker Tire owns the Great Race, and I work for Coker Tire, and we put this event on, and it does. We spend all year, not only do we run the route 3 times in advance, we'll do it in the summer, the spring, and we did it about a month ago. And then we have a crew that does it the day before. And then we have our director of competition does it an hour before the first car. So that's 5 times in advance of the first car doing it.
When you're running the route in advance, does that mean that running will stop at every checkpoint that will be enforced on the drivers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's where we locate where those checkpoints will be. And then mostly when we're doing is measuring it the other times to make sure that no signs have been moved. Because that is
trouble.
The arrow pointing the other way.
Literally destroy.
That's from the Great Race, the movie.
Yeah. Even if it's the same sign, but it's been moved 100 feet, would screw up everything.
Yeah.
So, and you'd be surprised how many signs are there the day before that are not there an hour before the first car gets there the next day.
Interesting.
All it takes is one drunk driver to get off the road a little bit, and clip a sign. It's down in the ditch now. On Saturday night. On Sunday morning, it's still down in the ditch.
What happens in the event of violent weather?
We keep going.
Really?
We keep going. This is rain or shine. In 2019, we started in Riverside, California, and we went to Tacoma, Washington. So we went through Nevada, obviously California. We started in California, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. And it was 100-plus degrees across the desert when we went over the Cajon Pass into Lancaster, California. It was 100-plus degrees. 4 or 5 days later, we were at Cedar Lake, Oregon. It was 31 degrees and it was snowing. And this was in late June.
How many cars total?
120.
And that's it. It won't be larger than that, and it's not smaller than that.
No, it's and that's based on that's 1 car per minute for 2 hours.
Okay.
So I could add more cars, but then logistically you'd have people coming in to lunch at 3 p.m. and coming to the finish line at 8 o'clock at night. And it just logistically it doesn't work.
What was the magazine's role in the founding of the race?
Hemmings has been our title sponsor for a decade and a half.
Oh.
And in 2010, Great Race came to ownership under Coker Tire, and that's when Hemmings came on as our title sponsor. The publisher there at the time, Jim Minetto, was a participant in the event, and he really helped save the event. Hemmings and Jim Minetto helped save the event through a rough period of time before 2010. And once we took over in 2010, it's been incredibly successful.
Is it plausible for a driver to do it without a companion in the car?
It has been done. It has been done.
Okay.
We had a guy back.
Why don't you throw that phone away?
I turned the volume down before I sat down.
I see where you're going with this, Joe. I'm coming along.
We had a guy that had a little Model T Speedster back in the 90s. His name was Rossi Morris. He's from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he did it by himself. And he had a thing where he could flip the instructions. And he's one of those guys. He smoked a cigarette the entire time. He'd light the next one with the old one, and he never. He's driving down the road by himself, smoking cigarettes, flipping the instructions in an orange Model T Speedster that was a little boat tail job, and it was fantastic.
Should we give the YouTubers a little love here? Look at this thing.
I don't see anything.
Let me.
I'd love to see something, but you don't have it up there.
Hang on, let me redo that again, here, sir.
Joe, I got a million questions.
I do too. What's the total mileage again?
About 2,300 miles, 2,350.
Is that
Take
the
his
same?
Microphone away.
No, is that the same every summer?
It's generally within 50 miles one way or another. And it just works for us. The distance between start and finish cities, we do that something intentional. Like we used to go coast to coast, and it was a 2-week event.
Yeah.
And in 2011, we went down to 9 days, consecutive days. We used to do 2 weeks with a day off in the middle. This is 9 consecutive days.
9 consecutive days.
And it has to be, it can't be New York to Los Angeles. You can't cover that ground the way we do it in that amount of time.
I'm so intrigued by the idea that the car has to be fit. It has to be sound, but it doesn't have to be a $4 million Ferrari.
Oh, no. It's the car, obviously, if you're sitting on the side of the road broken down, that doesn't matter how good you are at doing
well,
the
here
event.
we now finally have it up. Describe to us, Jeff, what we're seeing. There he is.
1913 Chevrolet right there.
Oh, that's the 13 Chevrolet. There's a Volvo.
Volvo.
That's
a
Packard.
Nice Packard with some Coker Classic white wall tires on it.
Yeah. Are cars numbered?
Yes, every car has a number. That's a 1916 Hudson Indy car.
There's a Deuce Coupe.
Corvair. This is actually from our spring rally just a few weeks ago.
There's a 190 SL
in Kentucky. That's
that's cool.
That's the Cannonball Bridge between Indiana and Illinois.
I'll be damned.
There's your rain or shine. There's a vet.
Yeah. Mustang.
Yeah. That guy's pretty good at it.
Has somebody won it more than once?
Yes, we've had multiple five-time
There's an MGTD.
winners.
You've had how many?
Multiple 5-time winners.
Five-time winners.
A couple different ones have won it 5 times.
Well, this is more fun you can shake a stick at.
It's a lot of fun.
Question about the car. If Joe registers now, signs up for 2 years from now, does he have to register the car he's going to drive? What if 2 days before the race that thing blows up and he wants to use my Studebaker Lark?
Happens every year. You get that many cars together, something's going to happen, and they have to switch out. I noticed we got a guy from St. Louis that has a 34 Lagonda. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful car. But it's just big, it's heavy, it's not that fast, and it's very temperamental. Yeah. And I was expecting it to show up yesterday when they unloaded some of the cars, and he sent my mind's gone blank. Aston Martin DB7, the James Bond car.
If I registered today, I don't have a pre-74 car.
Yeah, we get people do that all the time. They'll register and say car to be determined. And
cool.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. The car you start with is the car you're.
You say the cars are arriving already.
Yeah, there's about 25 cars already.
Are they
at
the
hotel.
fairgrounds or at hotels?
They're at our host hotel, which is the Doubletree right there at Mall of America.
Oh. Well, I'll see you there tonight then, huh?
May I, Joe? Step in here for a second?
Yeah. You try to, yeah.
Such and I are amateurs. Now, do you have an amateur and a pro class? Because I'm going to be nervous about running against, say, Wayne Carini or Derek Beery or any of those guys.
40 of the 120 cars, or what we call rookie cars, is the first time.
Okay. All right.
And speaking of Wayne Carini, he's a great friend of the great race. He'll actually be here Thursday night at our opening banquet at the DoubleTree.
Right. What about Friday?
Not sure what his schedule is. He's probably going to be in and out.
Oh, I would love to talk to him. Yeah, we're going to be there on Friday.
Has a rookie ever won it?
Only the first year when everybody was a rookie.
True, yeah.
No, and
really, a rookie's never won it.
No. The man that won last year has won several times. It took him 20 years to win for the very first time.
What's his key, I wonder? What has he figured out?
Well, his son's a navigator, and he's really good.
Okay.
So, but it took him, it took him 20 years to win the first time. He used to drive a 1911 Veely.
Wow.
And he won, when he finally, on the 20th year, he won for the first time in that car. And then he won last year in that 1916 Hudson.
I'll be damned.
Joe has always been a navigator. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that car when Joe and the navigator start fighting about where to turn left and what time it is and slow down and speed up. Oh, my God. Every single car must just be drama the whole day, every day.
The best teams... the driver just does what he's told to do. He or she. We've actually we've had female drivers win the race before.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, at the beginning, like Saturday noon or before, is every driver or is every car handed the map?
Yes.
Okay.
Set of instructions.
Yep.
And they'll
because it takes you an hour to go to Rochester if you just take the freeway. You're not taking the freeway.
No. And they'll be...
not even an hour, really.
They'll be doing about 3.5 hours of competition between here and there. Those wonderful rural Minnesota roads, and we'll just be crisscrossing.
I know one road you're going to be on. I won't say it, but I'm going to off the air. I'm going to bet you that I know one of the roads you're going to be on.
So speaking of that, we have an emailer, Brian. He is listening to the Garage Logic podcast on the town council. He's like, just curious, question for Jeff: do you need to alert any authorities along the way that you're conducting this race?
No, we don't. We don't do that because they're on their own. They have to handle stoplights. I was a participant one time. There was a funeral. We just had to pull over and wait.
But that ruined your timing.
Yes, you have to know if I'm sitting still for a minute and a half, and I'm a minute and a half behind.
What about stopping to get gas?
We do a lot of things what we call off the clock, like lunch, but we also have a break in the morning and a break in the afternoon so that they can use the restroom, get fuel.
So you try to schedule your gas for the break.
Yes. You go in the morning, you'll do an hour and a half of competition, maybe have a 15-minute break. Then do another hour and a half to 2 hours before, then there'll be a break for lunch for an hour.
Hell, I can make it 2 hours.
Same thing in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But would you need to get gas going from here to Rochester in one of these vehicles?
Well, but you will on certain days. You're going to need to get gas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a short route.
Yeah,
the first day is short.
Okay. Now there will be there's a practice rally on Friday. It's called the Haggerty Drivers Club Trophy Run. Mm-hmm. Obviously sponsored by Haggerty Drivers Club, and we'll be going north of St. Paul to the rural areas north of here, and they'll actually come back to the fairgrounds on Friday afternoon, starting about 3:30 at the Midway at the fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Just to clean things out and get things going. I'm reading your mind, Joe. I know exactly what you're thinking.
But the cars overnight on Friday will be at the hotel.
Back at the hotel, yep.
And that's DoubleTree in...
right there at the Mall of America. They call it the DoubleTree Airport, but it's right there at the Mall of America.
Right.
We're even using Mall of America parking lots for our trucks and trailers.
Right.
So the racers. I had dinner last night with one of our teams from England that's already arrived.
I was going to say, are there participants from around the world?
Australia, Japan, England. We have an Italian member of a team this year, and then all over Canada. We have a dozen teams from Canada, and of course all over the United States.
Fantastic.
Would now be the wrong time to ask if I can apply for a job
Yes, it would be the wrong time.
Podcast
Put
things
you to
wearing
work for the next
thin.
2 weeks for sure.
I can do media relations, publicity, you name it. I can do it.
Traveling roadie.
Yeah.
Jeff has other obligations. Jeff Stumb, we're going to, if you're around, we'll be there Friday, very near the main gate at a place called O'Gara's.
Yeah, I think we've talked about a time that Friday that I'll be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, very good. And bring a racer if you would. If you
Or
would.
Wayne. Bring Wayne over.
Bring Wayne if you find him.
If he's still in town, I'll bring him.
F40 Motorsports.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be an honor.
Yep.
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate it. It sounds like more fun than I've ever heard about in my life. Short of a sailing regatta, this might be the way to go. So sign me up. I'll write you a check, and I got to find a car.
Well, we can do that.
And when we're off air, I'm going to see if I'm right on betting one of the roads. We'll return.
This guy wears many hats, just not indoors. Joe Souchere.
How about this? It's almost time, ladies and gentlemen. The Twin Cities Savers Online Summer Auction. It's going to start this Friday, June 20th, and it runs through Thursday, June 26th. All you got to do is go to GarageLogic.com, enter the keyword auction to view and to bid on items where you can save up to 70% off retail prices. Tens of thousands of dollars in items are up for grabs right now, including, how about this? A zero-turn lawnmower, string trimmer, and leaf blower from our friends at Tri-State Bobcat.
Nice.
Electric bikes and a generator from our friends at EcoFun Motorsports. Airport hotel stays at the Intercontinental for your next getaway. That's the one that's at the airport. Golf simulators for year-round play. There's garage storage systems from Gator Magnetics. Compass cart and rack system. A 40-foot shipping container. Yeah, really. A 40-foot shipping container.
What do you do with it?
You ship stuff.
Well,
You
if
live
it's
in
me,
it.
I move into
You
it.
live in it.
Just visit GarageLogic.com. And also, there's more items, but I can't list them all right now. But just go to GarageLogic.com and enter the keyword auction to view, bid, and win. Click it, bid it, win it. Why pay full price when you can save up to 70%? Again, that auction starts this Friday and runs through next Thursday, June 26th, Joe.
The Great Race sounds like the greatest thing since the invention of the toaster.
That's so neat.
I have some car information as long as we were on that delightful topic. What do you think is the most American car in terms of its components, its manufacture, everything? I have it. I have the list of the 25 most American cars made.
I have two. Should I give them to you now or wait?
Go ahead.
One of my choices would be the Ford F-150. They're both, and the other one would be either a Ford Mustang or a Chevrolet.
Corvette?
Yeah, thank you. Jeez.
Okay.
Wow.
That's called the American Made Index. The top 20 cars on Cars.com American Made Index. The first four are Teslas.
You're kidding.
No, the first four are Teslas.
It's the end of the world as we know.
Number 5, Jeep Gladiator.
No.
Number 6, the Kia EV.
A Korean car. No.
Number 7, Honda Ridgeline. Number 8, Honda Odyssey. Number 9, Honda Passport. Obviously at a Honda plant in America.
Yeah, where is that? I think.
So far, we haven't had, other than Jeep, no America. Well, Tesla's American. Number 10, the Volkswagen Electric ID4. Where are we making Acura MDXs in America?
Honda operates several manufacturing plants in the U.S., including locations in Ohio, Alabama, Indiana, North Carolina, and South Carolina.
Okay, number 11, Acura MDX. Number 12, Honda Pilot. Number 13, Jeep Wrangler. Number 14, Honda RDX. Number 15, Honda Accord. Number 16, Acura again with the Integra. Then back to Kia for number 17. Number 18, Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. We have to go to 19 before you find a Chevrolet. Number 19, the Chevrolet Colorado. And number 20, the Nissan Pathfinder. You can go to Cars.com and find these. Cars.com bases its rating on 5 main factors: location of final assembly, percentage of U.S. and Canadian parts, countries of origin for all engines, countries of origin for all transmissions, and the U.S. manufacturing workforce.
So it has nothing to do with what you and me, are interested in with automobiles.
No.
Nothing at all.
No.
Wow.
They don't give me number 20. Wow.
I only found one vehicle on that list that I find acceptable.
What's
but
that?
I don't judge them on their qualities. The Wrangler, obviously.
Well, having owned a Chevy Colorado, I would go with the new Chevy Colorado pickup truck on this list. But, I mean, I've had Acuras all my life, too. What's wrong? I mean, Acura MDX, that's the CP's favorite car.
Nothing wrong with them whatsoever.
Yeah.
But where's my Corvette?
Holy mackerel.
So are you saying the parts in a Corvette are made and manufactured? They're assembled outside of the country?
Well, it doesn't meet the top 5 qualifications.
Jeez.
Location, percentage of U.S. and Canadian parts, countries of origin for engine. That engine's got to be made in America, doesn't it?
Well, you really got me on a roller coaster,
What
an
the
emotional
hell's
roller
going
coaster.
on here?
Joe.
Hey,
First
if you don't
I'm
like
down,
America, then you can get it.
Girl.
then I'm up with that wonderful interview. Now I'm back down.
Corvette engines are made in America, Joe. Kentucky and Towanda, New York.
Where are the transmissions made?
Oh, God, I got to type that in now.
Because if it's Canada, that still counts, they say.
Really?
Well, they
North
said-
America. Those new vets are so sexy. I'm sorry. I love them so much.
They're too high-waisted.
No, they're not.
It's like an old guy with his pants pulled up to his breasts.
It's not like you could get in and out of them anyway.
I could get in and out of it a lot more nimbly
It'd
than
be
you
fun
could,
to watch.
Bear.
We'd get a camera crew together and get that on tape.
Transmissions are made in USA or Mexico. Either or. They're both made in
Where in God's name is the fiberglass? Where's the car's made in Kentucky?
Come on.
It's built by guys who play for the Legion softball team.
What's wrong with you, Heidt?
What the hell?
Just like you, just like the listeners. You send me. I read facts. You send me. You yell at me anyway.
Completely your
We're
fault.
blaming Height. I'm filling in for Tom Lyman today because they are in the midst of that hectic travel schedule to get back to South Africa. So it's this day.
Joe, are you talking about this day?
I'm still, just a minute. I still want Height to look up more on the vet. The
what
vet
else
doesn't
you know?
make the list.
They're assembled here. They're assembled exclusively in Bowling Green,
Yes.
Kentucky.
There's a museum there for them. They're
There's
assembled in
nothing-
Bowling Green. We know the transmission. Well, that transmission could be Mexico, but we know the engine's America. I got to think that all that stuff's American in America.
Where are the components for the engine made?
Well,
So it's assembled here,
Assembled.
but where are they coming from?
I'm sitting here like I'm going to give you the answer. I don't know where the hell they're coming from.
Stop the show. We're waiting for Heidt.
For
We're
all
not
I know, they're
going
coming
forward.
from Austria.
Good day, mate.
Well, the Bowling Green handles the final assembly Bowling Green plant. The components, many components, are sourced from various locations, including Canada, but you said that doesn't matter, right? Canada counts or no? And Mexico. So
That list stinks, Joe. That stinks.
fiberglass is molded by the molded fiberglass companies in Ashtabula, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So doesn't sound to me
Well,
like
here, people,
We
go
got
to
Mexico, too.
cars.com. What, Chris?
There's also Mexico as part of that. I looked it up as well.
part of what?
I'm not counting Mexico as American made.
But they are.
I'm just saying that this is what it's telling me.
All I'm telling you is.
All I says to him.
I'm telling you this right now.
I'm telling you, you can take that list and sit on it, Potsy.
Don't yell at me. It's cars.com American Made Index.
Okay, according to GM, the C8 gets 41% of its parts from the U.S. and Canada and 32% from Mexico for the E-Ray and the Z06 variants.
Okay. On this day,
June 17th.
In 1673, Father Jacques Marquette and Louis Joliet, Frenchmen, having traveled down the Wisconsin River, entered the main stream of the Mississippi. They are the first Europeans to travel on the upper river. And that was about 100 years before John Jay. On this day,
on June 17th,
in 1889, Frederick L. McGee became the first African American admitted to practice at the bar of the state Supreme Court. Born enslaved in Mississippi in 1861, as an adult, McGee took on civil rights cases and served as an emissary to Catholic prelates in Minnesota. In 1905, he helped develop the organizational precursor to the NAACP, the Niagara Conference. He died September 19, 1912 in St. Paul. On this day,
on June 17th,
in 1890, the U.S. Marshal from St. Paul arrested 7 census takers in Minneapolis, the opening salvo of the Twin Cities Census War. St. Paul's leaders accused Minneapolis of cooking the books in order to claim the title most populous city. The accusation was proven true. St. Paul, however, was also found to be padding its numbers. A new count completed in August gave Minneapolis 164,581 people, and St. Paul 133,156. So both cities were really well populated before the turn of the century. On this day,
on June 17th,
in 1909, Elmer L. Anderson was born in Chicago. During his term as governor from 1961 to 1963, he pioneered progressive legislation in civil rights, special education, mental health care, and metropolitan governance, and established numerous state parks. And finally, on this day,
on June 17th,
in 1913, and boy, doesn't this factor into what we just talked about, the Great Race. The first Minnesota Good Roads Day was declared. The National Good Roads movement was spurred by 2 forces: bicyclists who wanted to ride on better surfaces than muddy country lanes, and rural free delivery. The post office's promise to deliver mail to and from farms that were easily accessible by road. And I got news for you. These fellas and gals who leave the fairgrounds Friday on the Great Race, they'll probably be going on some of those roads that stemmed from the post office fulfilling its promise to deliver to rural areas.
Let me get something straight. The concept of good roads wasn't for people in automobiles. It was for the jackasses on those dumb big wheel trike bikes.
Yeah. That's
how
fine,
little,
but the post office had a say in it.
How little things have changed. I'm sorry.
That's true.
Yeah, they were the original bike lane. You're right, Kenny. I have a question.
Okay.
If we celebrated a Good Roads Day in St. Paul in 2025, which one you picking, Mayor?
It'd be a really short celebration.
Just give me one block.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for, St. Paul.
Hashtag it'll melt.
Yeah. Thank you, GLers.
No sports?
No, I don't have sports disappointment highlights.
Well, you know what? Because nothing happened bad.
Right.
Right? Okay, sure.
And I'm keeping that John Jay quote.
Oh, you're not going to do it again?
No.
Okay, gotcha. Hey, hi, how are you? Do us a favor, hit subscribe on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. On that YouTube channel, you can watch the show each and every single day, starting right around noon. And you can also see full segments. There's video shorts, there's behind-the-scenes footage, but it's all there for you. Join the thousands of subscribers on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. And you can also follow us along on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search Garage Logic and sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. You can find out more and sign up right now at the website, which is, of course, garagelogic.com. Time once again to check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And now is the time for you to do the same. So do not delay. Do exactly what I did and pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. When you call that number, you're going to get Josh. And he is there for you for that free, yes, I use the word free, 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation, and he will always give you the straight talk. He will never give you the sugar-coated advice, and he is on the line with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And boy, Josh, the surprise ending to the U.S. Open on Sunday, will there be more surprises because of the Fed meeting relating to the market?
Oh, there was such a, at least to me, a surprise ending to the U.S. Open. Oh, my goodness. We talked about that last Thursday, how difficult that course is due to unbelievable rough, very tight fairways, exceedingly fast greens, and then add in weather. And you had top players cursing, throwing clubs, breaking clubs, questioning officials, not to mention berating themselves. Oh my gosh, I think it almost looked like several groups that I have known on the golf course. And there was a time when I played on a course with a group, I was so frustrated by all the water, I definitely pulled a Rory McIlroy tomahawking one of my clubs. Not one of my better moments on the golf course. And I'm not even in their league. That said, we did discuss a few golf stocks, including Topgolf and a Cushnet maker of the Titleist balls, clubs, outerwear. Cushnet stock was up after the event, and golf is a very popular sport, definitely a lot more popular than it was prior to COVID. Very, very difficult to get into numerous private clubs unless you've got a significant downstroke. In order to accumulate that downstroke, the best way I know is owning growth-oriented stocks and own them regardless of what the market is doing. Studies have shown that if you miss even the best days, if you miss the best days in the market, even on an annual basis, and there is a lot of volatility in the marketplace, as every year the stock market has 3 to 4, 5 to 10% corrections. Very difficult to time those, and if you miss those best days, that really eats into your return. Hence, a strategy that I have used, asset allocation strategy of keeping up to 30% in cash, both for safety and to take advantage of those market pullbacks. The balance put in companies. I happen to favor companies involved in the internet, leisure, China-related businesses without necessarily having to invest in China, and real assets such as real estate, and keeping a small portion involved in short-term trading. That said, with all that has been going on in the marketplace from concerns about tariffs, and we have talked about that a lot, trade talks, the impact or potential impact of tariffs on the economy and inflation, which so far has not reared its ugly head, primarily because the price of oil has been focusing on a downward basis, and consumers, while still spending, have pulled back just a little bit. And now you've got threats of a widening war in the Mideast. And just a quick note, what Israel did with their preemptive strike on Iran, in my estimation, something that should have been done long ago. But that's a different story. Today, market is more on the downward side than on the upward side, which is typical on the day prior to the Fed's ending their meeting. They meet today and tomorrow and decide on the next interest rate move. The administration is pushing the Fed to start cutting interest rates because inflation has continued to come down. Job growth, while there, has been sluggish, with the unemployment is still about 4.2%, which when I was in school represented full employment, or actually better than full employment, but the job participation rate is only 62.4% and has been stuck there for a long time. So that means that a lot of people have either given up on working or only working less than part-time. So definitely need people available to work. The Fed, to me, is in a tough spot. The economy is still reasonably strong. Inflation is not at their target, and unemployment is not really accelerating. So my guess is the Fed either leaves interest rates alone or throws the market a bone and cuts 25 basis points. Tomorrow, after the press conference, you'll see how the market reacts better to the Fed's decision. In the meantime, companies have still been reporting better than expected numbers, but they have left guidance pretty much out. We'll be coming soon to the end of the half of the year, and starting in July, about the time that Amazon has their Prime Day, we'll start seeing earnings coming in and projections into the latter half of the year. Stay tuned and invest primarily for growth.
And that's why we get to you, Josh, for the straight talk, and we never get the sugar-coated advice, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now is the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And you do that just like I did by dialing 952-925-5608, where you always get straight talk and never, ever, 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 ever sugar-coated advice. Josh, once again, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Look forward to it, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.